How do you feel about the Syrian missile strike? Well, I recognize number one that Syria is in a lot of trouble and there's really not a whole lot of good options because ISIS is fighting the government and the government is using chemical weapons on its own people. So I recognize that. That's a problem and it makes any decision there obviously very difficult. So even with that in mind, though, I think, when you combine Trump dropping the Moab, the mother of all bombs, or let's just say the U.S. dropping it, wasn't Trump. Because apparently Trump didn't even order it or have to order it. It was just like a military decision. But you combine that with the fact that, but the military knows what the president's policies are. Like, you can't tell me that military decision to drop the Moab wasn't in a direct result of Trump being there instead of Obama. So I think that combined with the Syrian strike and then his threats to North Korea that we might, or the U.S. saying we might attack North Korea if it looks like they're going to test a nuke. This is incredible. This is such a change of foreign policy from Barack Obama. It's amazing. It's 180 degrees difference. It's the exact opposite of what Obama did. It's incredible that the U.S. foreign policy can change that much, and countries know that, and so then when countries deal with us, and when dictators like Putin deal with us, and Putin's like, "Yo, I'm a dictator. I'm going to be in office for 30 years," and he knows that presidents change and stuff, so he plays off of that. And uses that knowledge and stuff during his negotiations. Wow, look at this sunset. It's good looking. It's beautiful, isn't that? Look at that. I need to write this down. No, but basically, my main point about the whole missile strike and dropping the Moab bomb is that I supported, even recognizing all these difficulties and problems with this, because it shows that the U.S. is back. We're no longer ruled by Barack Obama. Military is actually an option that's on the table. Barack Obama always said, "Oh yeah, everything's on the table," but everybody knew that the military option was not on the table with any kind of negotiation Obama did. So he's just getting awful deals, getting taken advantage of. The military, U.S. making horrible deals and getting ripped off, and us giving, whether it was deals with Russia, deals with Iran, literally multiple deals that were just absolutely awful. And a lot of that you could say is because those countries knew that Obama would never use military force in any situation. But you could also say a lot of it might have just been the priorities of the Obama administration too. So even regardless of if those other countries knew or didn't know that Obama wouldn't use military force, we still might have ended up with the same deal. So I recognize that too. But a lot of it had to do with the fact that the U.S. was just so weak. And we pulled out, just pulled out of our leadership role. And the administration at the time even said we're leading from behind. That's what their policy was. And so I support the Syrian missile strike and I support dropping the Moab because it is incredibly beneficial to the U.S. national security in terms of our negotiating power when it comes, and it shows that other countries, and the other main reason I support it is because it makes a country around the world to use chemical weapons on their own people much less likely, because they know that, look, the U.S. is back. If you start doing weapons of mass destruction and, personally, if you have the power to prevent a person from using weapons of mass destruction against his own people, I do believe that you have a moral obligation to do what you can to try to prevent a dictator from using chemical weapons on his own people. I do think that if you've got the power to do it, it's the same thing, say, in your personal life. If you saw a guy that was gonna, let's say, beat up an old lady, and you saw him and you were like, "Oh, I'm actually stronger than this guy. I could actually prevent him from beating up an old lady." I think you have a moral obligation to step in and act affirmatively. Now, I know that the law doesn't require action like that. You have no obligation to step in and help them under the law. That lady could never sue you for negligence or any other kind of tort or anything like that if you didn't. So there's no legal obligation to do it, but I do think there is a moral obligation, and I think that's kind of what the chemical the strike on Syria really just shows that the U.S. is back, and we're going to do what we can to prevent dictators from using chemical weapons and weapons of mass destruction. And I think that's fantastic. That's good for the U.S. That's actually good for the whole world.